for kicking us off. Please, let me just appeal to us to come forward a bit. Just, if you're sitting at the back, just move forward. Move about 2 rows forward so that there's less disruption when more people come. Thank you, appreciate you. Just move a little bit forward, thank you. Thank you. Morris, if you can adjust the mic volume a little bit so it doesn't echo. Thank you. Okay, so good morning. It's a pleasure to welcome you to this forum, which is titled Innovating for Accountability, Enhancing Democracy Through Technology and Civic Action. And as we gather here, we're experiencing an intersection between 2 transformative forces in our world today, which is governance and technology. In this era, we're seeing rapid technology advancements that are reshaping every facet of our lives. And the implications for accountability in governance are profound. So allow me to illustrate with this concrete example. Since 2011, Nigeria's electoral process has undergone significant digitization, starting with a digital biometric voter register, and that was completed in January 2011. We've advanced to biometric accreditation. Many of you will remember the smart card reader and its challenges. And now we've incorporated electronic storage and transmission of polling unit results. So many of you are familiar with terms like BVAS and IREV, and when they work and when they don't. These innovations reflect the growing influence of technology on our democratic systems. On the one hand, these advancements promise greater transparency and efficiency. On the other hand, they introduce new challenges, new problems, and complexities that we cannot ignore. For instance, and this is an area where I have quite a bit of experience. Traditional civil society organization observation of elections focuses greatly on observing physical aspects of the electoral process. The digital dimensions, however, such as the integrity of the voter databases, for instance, when was the last time the voter register was cleaned? People who have died, for instance, are they still on the register? And sometimes INEC does something we call, voter register cleaning. They delete names, and they call it business rules. And I think in 2015, for instance, there were 11 million names that were removed from the register. What was the process like? How did those business rules get agreed? The same, the issue of course, the security of our accreditation system memories. We've seen cases, for instance, in court where the memory of the BVAS is pleaded as evidence. But, the question again is, what's the integrity of this volatile memory that we're talking about? And also transparency of result uploads. Many of us, we voted in 2023, came back from polling unit results, very excited to look at what had happened on IREV, and were significantly disappointed by how that system performed. So these processes are often less scrutinized, and many of us don't even have the capacity to scrutinize that aspect of the electoral process. But it's important because, You know, while technology serves as a powerful tool for accountability, it's also susceptible to manipulation or failure. This highlights a critical gap, the urgent need for innovation and advocacy to ensure that these digital dimensions of governance are credible, secure, and accountable. This example sets the stage for the broader goal of today's forum, which is to explore how emerging technologies such as open data platforms, artificial intelligence, and other digital tools can be leveraged to strengthen accountability in governance. Our mission is not just to discuss these technologies, but to examine how they can be creatively applied to address governance gaps, empower pro-accountability actors, and amplify the voices of youth and marginalized communities. Thanks to the generous support of MacArthur Foundation and the collaborative efforts of AfricMail, who is our partner in the Joint Body cohort, and Steers Business, we have brought together a diverse community of stakeholders, civil society leaders, technologists, policymakers, and academics. Together, we will share ideas, exchange insights, and come up with actionable strategies for integrating civic technologies into governance processes. Throughout the day, our discussions will explore how these tools can amplify citizens' voices like yours, monitor public processes, and ultimately strengthen transparency and accountability in Nigeria's governance and technology ecosystems. I'm deeply honored to welcome our distinguished panelists whose expertise will guide us through this critical conversation. I encourage each of you to engage actively, share your unique perspectives, and collaborate to co-create solutions that will drive progress towards a more transparent, inclusive, and accountable future for Nigeria. Thank you for your presence and your commitment to this vital cause. Let us seize this opportunity to envision and shape an innovative future where technology becomes a cornerstone of good governance. Thank you and welcome.
Thank you very much, sir. Can we give him another round of applause, please? As you rightly mentioned, digital platforms can help or inhibit our accountability efforts, which is why conversations such as these are very crucial. Moving on, I would like to invite our keynote speaker, Professor Umar Pate. He is a distinguished Nigerian professor of media history and an accomplished academic leader, currently serving as the Vice Chancellor of the Federal University Kashere in Gombe State. He has made significant contributions to the field of communication as the former Dean of the School of Postgraduate Studies at Bayero University, Kano. Pate is also the President of the Association of Communication Scholars and Professionals of Nigeria and a member of the UNESCO Network of Communication Professors. Professor Umar Pate earned his undergraduate degree in mass communication from the University of Maiduguri, followed by a Master of Philosophy from the University of Ghana, Legon, and a PhD from the University of Maiduguri. He began his academic career in 1988 at the University of Maiduguri and became a professor in 2007. In addition to his academic roles, Pate has been recognized internationally for his expertise. In November 2017, he was appointed by UNESCO as a director representing Africa on the board of directors for the International Network of UNESCO Professors in Communication. He has served as a consultant for various prestigious organizations, including USAID, UNFPA, UNICEF, and the World Bank. As a traditional leader, he holds the title of Kegama of Adamawa State and has published over 66 works in national and international journals. He will be represented here by Joshua Lufemi, who is a seasoned social entrepreneur and data analytics expert with over 14 years of experience in project management, civic technology, and media innovation. He currently serves as the Chief Executive Officer of DataFight, a media research and data analytics company operating in Nigeria, the UK, and the US. Under his leadership, DataFight has developed sustainable programs and revenue streams while fostering partnerships to enhance its operational capabilities. Joshua is also the founder of Goloka Analytics and has held significant roles in various organizations, including the Interactive Initiative for Social Impact and the World Bank, where he worked as a technical writer. His previous experience includes serving as Knowledge and Innovation Lead at Premium Times Nigeria and Program Director at the Center for Journalism, Innovation, and Development. In these roles, he advanced investigative journalism, coordinated civic technology projects, and launched numerous initiatives aimed at promoting media integrity in Nigeria. He is a Reagan Fassel Democracy Fellow at the National Endowment for Democracy, where he mobilized resources to establish open data platforms to empower citizens. Joshua holds a Master of Education in Measurement and Evaluation from the University of Lagos and has completed the Global FinTech program at Said Business School, University of Oxford. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome him up the stage. Mr. Joshua, thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. I will just say we should use the first technology, which is virtual reality, to see Umaro Pate here, Professor Umaro Pate, or you could augment it, if you like, as we go on. So I'm going to be reading his speech as I go on. Good morning, distinguished organizers, esteemed participants, ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor to be here today at this critical convening, the Public Policy Forum, and to jointly examine the topic, Innovating for Accountability, Enhancing Democracy through Technology and Civic Action. I'm deeply grateful for the invitation to engage with you on this vital topic, which resonates with my work and life experience as a governance analyst and consultant, media independence advocate, media pluralism practitioner, and academic. This event is coming at the right moment in our nation's history and the world at large. It's a moment of great tech innovation, considering the fast-paced technological advancement, defining how governments, corporations, and citizens interact and deploy these technologies for governance and regulation and service delivery, as well as civic engagement, respectively. It is a moment we are negotiating democracy globally, one where the policy and political environment is not delivering good governance to citizens. This has profound implications for Nigeria, where the pursuit of democratic ideals is currently challenged by structural impediments, opacity in government, and restricted civic spaces. So let's consider the timelines and milestones that have defined Nigeria's governance landscape, shaped by civil society organizations and progressives within the government who advocate for transparency, accountability, and good governance. These groups have leveraged technology to innovate their approach to demanding good governance and fostering a thriving democracy. First, since the launch of Nigeria's national backbone infrastructure in 2006, the country has made significant progress in e-governance. Through this government innovation, the private sector and the citizens are benefited. For instance, telecommunication companies like MTN, Airtel, Glo, Now Mobile, and have invested in network expansion and improved connectivity. The advent of mobile phones and internet connectivity in Nigeria, with mobile penetration now at 39% and projected to reach 49.74 by 2028, have enabled civic technology initiatives, allowing citizens to access government services via their mobile devices. These platforms have improved governance and empowered citizens to shape their communities and their realities overall through access to information and various feedback mechanisms set up by government and powered by civil society. Nigeria's civic tech growth is driven by historical events and innovations, robust policies, international funding, and collective commitments to challenging the status quo and fostering positive governance outcomes. Likewise, the media, my constituency, has embraced digital transformation, utilizing data journalism and lately artificial intelligence to highlight policy issues, inform public discourse, and champion press freedom. The growth of social media and its use, particularly among citizens, have also undoubtedly amplified civic participation and fostered engagement through platforms like Nairaland, Facebook, Twitter, now X, Instagram, WhatsApp, and various blog platforms that we have. Civic tech groups continue to shape discussions on transparency, influencing policies and reshaping perception of civic space. Movements such as NSAS and Bring Back Our Girls illustrate how young people especially, use social media to push for change and mobilize citizens for civic actions through technology. These civic accountability and citizen engagement initiatives emerge from key incidents like the 2012 Occupy Nigeria protests. Likewise, the signing of the 2011 Freedom of Information Act opened access to government data, enabling civil society demand accountability. Platforms like Budget, which launched after co-creations of 2011 hackathon, and Follow the Money initiative, which started in 2012, illustrate how technology has empowered citizens to engage in governance. Other initiatives follow suit, leveraging technology to mobilize citizens, journalists, and even government agencies and regulatory bodies to demand accountability through access to information and increased transparency powered by technology. In this gathering alone, we have actors who have interacted with or contributed to development and the use of accountability tech platforms like Budeshi, Udeme, Amfani, GovSpend, among others. The Open Government Partnership joined by Nigeria in 2016 could be described as a culmination of technology-driven accountability and open data initiatives by various actors and organizations. This Open Government Partnership co-creation process has further improved data access and collaboration. The COVID-19 pandemic in 2020 provided another opportunity for CSOs to track government spendings using civic technology tools like Open Treasury, Nokopo, and Budeshi by the Public and Private Development Organization. DataFight, birthed in 2020, played a crucial role at a time when journalists and other actors had limited movements by using data science and open source intelligence tools to elevate social accountability and socioeconomic development reporting and to improve data journalism landscape overall. The 2023 general election saw widespread anticipation bolstered by Electoral Act of the 2022, Electoral Act 2022, which helped INEC leverage technology to enhance election transparency. Various organizations such as the Center for Journalism Innovation and Development, CJID, CTAD, Civic Hive, DataFight, Enough is Enough, Kimpact, STARS, Yaga Africa, and others deploy technology for election monitoring and civic education. The academic and media ecosystem in Nigeria have seen parallel developments. The academic sector, traditionally viewed as a reservoir of knowledge, has increasingly collaborated with civic tech innovators to foster openness and critical inquiry. This development underscores a collective aspiration for democracy and that is participatory, inclusive, and transparent, and also one powered by reliable and accessible data across key sectors. The engagements across these three divides of public, private, and third sector in the last score, nearly 2 decades, makes it accurately described as the era of technology and civic action 1.0. In the media industry, for instance, 234 Next galvanized the tools of technology to show the world what was possible with investigative journalism as a formidable tool of accountability and democracy. Premium Times picked the baton, and a couple of others have followed. At the last count, investigative journalism, powered by technology, has unearthed corruption across sectors, including the extractive. A case in point, the Malabo scandal. In the health sector, the Gavi scandal. In the security sector, the Suki Gate. In immigration and many more. that we all are aware of today. We have over 50 investigative and data journalism platforms at the national and subnational level that are digital first in their approach and accountability engagements. All this demonstrates the power of civic technology to mobilize youth and grassroots actors to challenge inefficiencies and demand good governance. Now to more recent examples. The EndSARS movement of 2020 was a watershed moment. Our technology, particularly social media, could be a formidable force for demanding reforms, while the dissolution of SARS was just one outcome. This movement symbolized a significant shift in civic empowerment through digital means. In the academia, significant progress have also been made. Universities have begun integrating digital tools to enhance scholarship and research. The pandemic onset in 2020 was a pivotal moment when institutions adapted by transitioning to online platforms for lectures and examinations. The National Open University of Nigeria now, as long as simplified this adaptive and innovative framework, promoting open learning and democratizing access to higher education through technology. These efforts have positioned Nigeria's academic landscape as more dynamic, responsive, and capable of contributing to broader societal reforms. Despite this achievement made by key actors and institutions, problems persist that hinder the sustainability of various tech-driven accountability initiatives and sometimes reverse the democratic gains. Frequent disruptions often occur due to political transitions and changes in policies. For example, strategic reforms introduced by one administration may be deprioritized or reversed by the next, hindering the momentum needed for long-term impact. The economic fallout from the COVID-19 pandemic further exacerbated this issue, as governments and indeed all institutions around the world shifted their focus to crisis management, often neglecting initiatives that promote civic engagement and transparency. The broader context of economic pressures, evidenced by recent tax reforms introduced by the current government, has stirred mixed reactions that impact both civic and academic endeavors. These realities underscore the fragmented nature of policy implementation and the challenges of embedding accountability and good governance across the board. The COVID-19 pandemic, I'm saying again, forced institutions to adopt digital methods and also highlighted the disparity in infrastructure and preparedness. While some universities transitioned to online learning, seamlessly, many others struggle due to inadequate digital infrastructure and limited faculty training. This uneven adoption reveals the need for more robust policies that prioritize sustainable tech integration across educational levels. Amidst these challenges, there are promising prospects that inspire hope for the future. The resilience demonstrated by both the civic sector, the academia, during crises like the pandemic indicate a marked capacity for adaptation and innovation. Moving forward, constructive collaboration between government bodies and civil society will be pivotal. Initiatives that blend policy advocacy with civic participation can scale up successful models and foster mutual accountability. Policy advocacy must evolve from mere dialogue to actionable framework that bind both state actors and civic organizations. For instance, the Open Government Partnership, focusing on open data, transparency and accountability through technology and citizen participation, is an example of collaboration and co-creation between the public, private, and third sector at the national and subnational levels. Media collaboration, exemplified by joint investigative journalism enterprise, training in data and solution journalism, using various mainstream and frontier technologies, also signals strategic options that need support. Academic institutions have an essential role here, fostering research that informs public policy and acts as a bridge for knowledge transfer to civil society. Moreover, promoting collaborative platforms that engage youth and marginalized groups will strengthen the demand for transparent governance. The creation of a unified framework where civic technology solutions align with educational curricula can nurture a new generation of informed, tech-savvy citizens who champion accountability. The government must work closely with academia and civil society organizations to co-create strategies for addressing governance challenges, empowering youth-led and grassroots movements with institutional support will ensure that innovation in technology and civic action translates into tangible changes. As we look ahead, the prospect of a stronger, more accountable Nigeria is attainable if all stakeholders harness technology not just as a tool, but as a cornerstone of policy, pedagogy, and practice. And as we know, artificial intelligence and other frontier technologies will have a tremendous impact on the accountability and democracy discourse and reality. So, without dwelling on this topic, which I believe will receive ample treatment in the course of today's deliberations, history has taught us that we need adequate guardrails for ensuring technology enhances rather than frustrate all these previous gains. So as AI advances, we must collectively ensure inclusive, safe, ethical, and contextually relevant development and deployment in a way that enhances democracy and good governance. In closing, the journey of enhancing democracy through technology and civic action is fraught with complexities, but it is a path worth treading. Our collective resolve must be one of resilience, where every innovation, every reform, and every act of civic participation strengthens the fabric of our democracy. The future of accountability in Nigeria rests on our shared commitment to bridging gaps, sustaining momentum, and fostering a culture of transparency that leaves no one behind. I wish you all a great deliberation and hope the resolutions from this forum will set us on a path forward. Thank you.
Can we give him another round of applause, please? Thank you so much. Your insights on the power of social media to drive positive change and draw attention to social issues was particularly resonant, and we saw during the NSAS and Bring Back Our Girls movement. So next, I would like to invite Dr. Chido Onuma for his reflection. He is the coordinator for African Center for Media Information Literacy. He's a journalist, writer, and rights activist. He has worked for over 2 decades as a journalist, rights activist, and media trainer in Nigeria, Ghana, Canada, India, the US, the Caribbean, and Europe. He holds a PhD in communication and journalism from the Autonomous University of Barcelona, Spain. He is a columnist with several newspapers. Please join me in welcoming him off stage.
Thank you very much. Good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I think my brother and friend Joshua did a fantastic job reading the speech prepared by the keynote speaker, which speaks to why we are here today. My duty is to just add additional flesh to this by reflecting on the work we've done both with Yar'Adua Center, but more importantly with organizations within the joint body cohort of the MacArthur Foundation. We are grateful always to our sister Amina Salihu for being part of this process. We know how hectic it is at the foundation. My name is Chido Onuma. I'm the coordinator of the African Center for Media and Information Literacy, and we're grateful to Yar'Adua Center for putting this together and for inviting us to be part of it. It's a great honor to be here. It's this crucial forum, which is dedicated to exploring how we can innovate for accountability, enhance democracy, and drive real change in governance through technology and civic engagement. This initiative is not only vital for strengthening democratic system, but it's also essential for empowering citizens, particularly the underrepresented, and ensuring that our societies are transparent, inclusive, and just. As we explore the theme of today's forum, Innovating for Accountability, Enhancing Democracy Through Technology and Civic Engagement, we are reminded of the power of technology as both a tool and a force for good. With the rise of emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence, open data platforms, and digital tools for citizen engagement, we find ourselves at a critical juncture. The digital age presents unprecedented opportunities to address some of the most pressing challenges facing our democracies, especially in the area of transparency, anti-corruption, and citizen participation. I'm here with a particular focus on the experience of Nigeria, where we have worked closely with civil society organizations, journalists, and media professionals dedicated to advocating or advancing accountability and governance reform. We have seen firsthand how technology can drive transformative change, but we've also witnessed the challenges that come with it. Nigeria is a country with rich potentials, yet it has long struggled with issues of corruption, lack of transparency, and limited civic participation. This has led to disengagement, disenchantment, and distrust in democratic institutions. But technology, when applied thoughtfully and strategically, can be a game changer in reversing these trends. First and foremost, open data is a powerful catalyst for transparency. When governments make data publicly available and accessible, it becomes possible for citizens, civil society groups, and journalists to hold public officials accountable. In Nigeria, initiatives like the Freedom of Information Act have already begun to make important strides in providing information that can help track government funds, that can help track government spending, monitor development projects, and prevent the misuse of public funds. Yet much can be done. The key to success lies not just in the availability of data, but in its accessibility and usability. For open data to be truly of benefit to citizens, it must be presented in a way that is understandable and actionable. This requires not just technological tools, but also the capacity building of CSOs and journalists who can interpret and disseminate this data effectively to the public. Again, I come back to the work we just finished through the kind support of the MacArthur Foundation. Our work with CSOs, in our work with CSOs, we've seen how digital platforms can empower organizations to expose corruption, organize public campaigns, advocate policy changes, and create new pathways for holding government accountable. But these technologies alone are not enough. We must invest in media independence and press freedom, values that are the bedrock of any accountable democracy. Journalists play a crucial role in providing reliable information, uncovering stories that matter, and speaking truth to power. Yet too often, they face threats, harassments, and censorship. We must ensure that the digital tools we deploy to enhance transparency also support the protection and safety of journalists. Another area where technology can play a transformative role is in artificial intelligence and data analytics. For instance, my organization, the African Center for Media and Information, through the Joint Body AI Capacity Building Project, has successfully trained members of the Joint Body cohort of MacArthur Foundation in essential artificial intelligence areas such as machine learning, natural language processing, data analysis, and AI ethics for CSOs. And I'm sure when the groups come to make their presentation, we'll see in detail some of these things I'm talking about. The project offered participants practical hands-on experience in these fields in enabling them to leverage AI tools and the Joint Body AI tool for enhancing the operation of civil society organizations. The training equipped cohort members with the skills needed to use data-driven insights to promote accountability, transparency, and good governance. The feedback we got from people who participated in the workshop shows how impactful the exercise was in empowering CSOs to effectively monitor government actions, analyze policies, and engage in informed advocacy, thus contributing to the strengthening of democratic processes and institutional integrity. AI can be used to identify patterns in corruption and inefficiency, flagging suspicious transactions or behavior that may otherwise go unnoticed. By harnessing the power of data, we can create systems that provide early warnings of potential risks to our democracy. Furthermore, AI can be used to ensure that public resources are allocated efficiently and in accordance with the needs of citizens, thereby preventing the misuse of public funds and improving service delivery. However, we must be cautious and ensure that these systems are designed with fairness, transparency, and accountability in mind. As we know, technology is only as good as the people who create and manage it, and we must ensure that emerging technologies are not used to entrench inequalities or perpetuate biases. Finally, the amplification of underrepresented communities in governance processes is perhaps the most urgent challenge we face today. Technology has the potential to level the playing field by giving marginalized groups, whether we are talking about gender, ethnicity, or geography, a voice in decision making. Digital platforms can break down barriers to participation and provide avenues for engagement that were previously inaccessible. For instance, and I think the keynote speaker referenced this, in rural communities where physical access to government meetings or elections may be limited, mobile apps and online forums can allow citizens to engage directly with policymakers and demand change. Yet, to fully realize this potential, we must ensure that technology is inclusive. We must focus on digital literacy, address infrastructure gaps, and provide training that allows all citizens, especially the most vulnerable, to navigate the digital landscape confidently. In closing, the work we are doing here today is crucial to building more accountable, transparent, and inclusive democracy. By harnessing the power of technology, we not only combat corruption, but also empower citizens, amplify marginalized voices, and strengthen the very foundation of our government systems. But this journey requires a collective effort, a collaboration between government, civil society, the private sector, students, government officials, and every citizen. We must ensure that technology serves the people and not people serving technology. As we continue these discussions, let's keep our focus on the future, on creating practical, accountable solutions that can bring about real change. Let us innovate for accountability, not just in theory, but in the lived experiences of citizens across the country. Thank you very much.
Can we give him another round of applause, please? He rightly highlighted that technological innovations are a double-edged sword when it comes to fighting corruption and enhancing accountability. It can be used for good or for evil. He also emphasized that freedom of the press as a bedrock for any good democracy, which I don't think we give enough attention to. Right, moving on, we're going to be having presentations. And first, I would like to invite Sanam Serki from Kimpact Development Initiative. Please, a round of applause for her.
Good morning, everyone. Firstly, I would like to appreciate Yar'Adua Center for making this gender inclusive. Walking into this hall, I was elated at the number of women I saw, especially the coppers, you know, and I have just 10 minutes for this presentation, so I'll try to keep it short. When Mr. Joshua was making his presentation, he said something that struck me. He mentioned Naira Land. 10 years ago, I stumbled on an advert on Naira Land that changed my life. I was a copper 10 years ago. So this is to say that to all the coppers here right now, I know there are possibilities of, you know, thoughts on what will I do after NYSC, you know, where will I go from here? You're probably, you know, maybe applying for jobs already, because while I was serving, I was desperately applying for jobs. So, but I just want to tell you to relax. You know, you figure it out. If you have the zeal, you have the passion, you have the intellect, and you have the drive, there is nothing you cannot achieve. So I want everyone, especially the coppers, to join me when I say, I am the future. Can we all say this together? 3, 2, 1, go. I am the future. One more time. I am the future. You need to say it and believe it, and everything will fall into place. So straight into my presentation. Innovation for accountability, enhancing democracy through technology and civic action. My name is Sanom Sariki. I work for the Kimpact Development Initiative. I'm the program manager for gender and policy advocacy. Today, we're going to focus on Halima. I like to drive my point through storytelling. Imagine a young woman named Halima living in a rural community in Nigeria. She's passionate about her rights as a citizen, but often feels unheard. During the last general elections, Halima wanted to read about the consequences of vote buying in her village, but had no platform to do so. Fast forward to today, Halima learns about a new AI-powered tool that answers her democratic questions and provides a platform for engagement. For the first time, she feels connected to the electoral process, empowered to hold leaders accountable, and inspire others in her community to do the same. Next slide, please. Halima's story reflects the transformative power of innovation and inclusivity in enhancing accountability. Now let's explore how technology and civic action are reshaping democracy for people like Halima. Halima is a representation of you and I. Halima is a representation of your siblings, your relatives in the village, in remote areas, in rural areas that probably don't have access to internet. Now, these are the impacts. Number 1 is transparency, number 2 is participation, and number 3 is efficiency. Digital platforms expose corruption and inefficiencies. Apps and tools allow citizens to monitor elections and engage with governance. Automation of electoral processes ensures credibility. Now, imagine if Halima had access to these tools during her earlier experiences. Her story would have been different. Halima would have been able to report vote buying or vote selling in her community. Halima would have been able to read about the consequences of vote buying and vote selling and probably engage other community members on the consequences, because a lot of them do not know. Launched by KDI in 2024, the organization I work for, the AI assistant provides verified information that helps hold the elected officials accountable. The AI answers real-time queries, it answers real-time questions that empowers voters, especially women and rural communities. And the AI platform has had over 700,000 visits since its launch, fostering informed citizen participation. The AI is titled or is named Niger Elections. I don't know if you've heard of Niger Elections, but Niger Elections was launched in May 2024 to help answer our questions. Halima now uses this tool to understand her rights and access information, amplifying her voice in a system that once overlooked her. Halima has become a mini advocate in her village, in her community. All she needs to do is bring a couple of people, enthusiasts together, ask them questions about democracy, about Nigerian constitution, about elections, and build their capacity. Use the AI tool, not just Niger Elections, but every other AI tool that she can probably have access to at that time, you know. But this is the power of AI tools. Civic action and inclusive engagement. Virtual town halls allows promotion for city, am I seeing well? Sorry, but let's move on. The power of community-driven change. Civic action ensures community-led solutions for governance challenges. Now, I need us to also note that we are advocating for AI tools. We are advocating for tools that can help us in governance, that can help promote our governance. We should also note that there are challenges, right? Take, for example, someone mentioned e-voting. And I know a lot of us here are, you know, pro e-voting. But do we know the number or the percentage of communities in Nigeria presently that do not have access to internet? Let's move straight to that. Let's go to the number of people, or the number of, yeah. Okay, I think we should stay here first. Let's talk about the challenges and the risk. Barriers to inclusive accountability, digital divide, is talking about 35% of Nigerians lack internet access. 35% of Nigerians, although about maybe 25 or 29, no, about 23 to 25% of people voted out of 100%. In Edo, 19%. So if 19% of the citizens are the ones coming physically to vote, when it becomes e-voting, how many percent are we going to have? Is the question. We're talking about gender bias here. Women make up only 20% of rural tech users. And fake news undermines. So if we want to make voting inclusive, take for example, women make up only 20% of rural tech users. Now, I am pro-tech. I really want us to move, you know, to the time, right, in Nigeria where everyone can just pick up their phones and vote, where everyone can just pick up their phones and, you know, ask questions and get responses to their questions. But how many people are going to be able to do that? A lot of communities do not even have network, let alone network coverages. So there are communities that MTN is not there, Glo is not there, Airtel is not there, and then there are very few that probably you would have only MTN. I'm sure we can all speak to our communities. In my village, take for example, only Glo works. Can we move on, please? Thank you. This is where I was coming to. This is the internet penetration by gender in Nigeria for the left-hand side, and this is the internet penetration for region in Nigeria. Look at that of North Central, 15%. Northeast, 10%. Northwest, 12%. Southeast, 18%. South-South, 20%. And Southwest, 25%. This is poor, in my opinion. And for gender, 40% for women, and 60% for men. Now, this is not in any way to deter us or to discourage us, but I want us, right, to also put that at the back of our minds so that we can start from the grassroots before we get to the elevated part of it. Next slide, please. Opportunities for future innovation. These are a number of, solutions that I think are already in existence. The first one is what I think Nigeria cannot or has not gotten to at this point, which is the blockchain for elections, which ensures secure and transparent records. The second one is AI for civic education, which I think is what KDI is already doing. KDI is AI assistant for broader impact, and the last one is inclusive design